Time for a breakdown.
Welcome to this illustration breakdown. Today I'll be talking about this caricature I have done of Ja Morant and taking you through the process.
Break it down!
So we'll start here really quick with the sketchbook. Sometimes I'll sketch digitally and sometimes it makes a lot of sense to just get initial ideas and stuff out in a sketchbook. And this is somewhat typical of my style. I'll probably focus a little bit more first on the head and try to figure that out. And you can see a lot of the construction lines and things like that I've taken into account. And then I try to figure out, well, what do I want this to look like? And I'll use a lot of source imagery and things like that. I'll show a couple of those things right now to determine what I think would be pretty exciting as far as a drawing goes, and then I'll just sketch it. And this top part of the sketchbook shows what I've decided could be kind of a cool caricature sketch that I think is a perfect representation of Ja Morant and kind of stuff that he likes to do on the basketball court. So from that point, what I like to do is I will kind of place things on an artboard. And these are obviously blurry and not super great to look at, but that's okay. I just need kind of a structure because this is where I'm going to start laying in some other sketches. I'm going to redraw this. So once I have that where I kind of like it, I will redraw, and you can see this redrawn layer is just over the top, and I've kind of moved it around and stuff like that. So I'll get rid of the sketchbook layer, but this redrawing goes over the top of that, and then I'll make some movements around and things like that. But it'll go over the top, and once again I'll kind of evaluate, okay, how do I like this? Is the positioning right? You know, I might grab one of these limbs or features on the face and stuff like that and move it around with my lasso tool. Once I get that to a place that I like it to be, then I will go from this sketch, and I like to make it a little lighter so that I can still see it. And over the top of it, I will draw some black lines. And I want these, because of the style of drawing that I'm working on, I want these to be very crisp and nice and smooth. Get a little bit of variation in the line width, add a little bit of a darker outline around my caricature here. But that's how I start with this one. The second thing that I'll do once I get this kind of dialed in where I like it to be is I'll work on the coloring process. And there's a lot of ways to do this, and I'm kind of a drawing in the lines kind of a person. So one of the things that I find makes that easy is I'll just grab this area that I want to be colored in, and I'll fill it in with just one color. It doesn't matter what color, it just needs to be a color. And I'm choosing kind of a powder blue that will influence some of the illustration from this point, but I filled it all in. And in Photoshop, I can draw on top of that, and I can freeze the layer so that I only draw on top of what's selected. And this blue color makes it really easy to select just the things that are within the lines, so that I don't have to be so cautious about coloring outside the lines and creating a mess out here in this white area that will ultimately be my background. I want to be nice and tidy. So I filled this in with the light blue color, and then I decide, well, what are the color blocks within this? And so on this particular drawing, I've got some dark blues, he's got some tights, and he's got a sleeve here and some of the trim on his uniform. And then I'll also add some skin tones. Now, I like to try my best to make sure that the colors are looking nice together. I found an orange that I like working with this dark blue, and this skin color is actually located on the same kind of palette as the orange there. And so I'm liking that, filled those in, and then I'll just continue with some of the other things. I've got some whites that need to come in, some trim, all of that shows up. But this is looking very flat. So let's add some detail, some of these details that are going to kind of help us know who this is. So we've got, obviously, this basketball player needs a team and a number. So Ja Morant is number 12 on the Grizzlies. And we'll also, one of the details is he's got a lot of tattoos. And so we'll throw that on there. That's on a multiplied layer over the top of, obviously, his skin. And we just kind of scribbled in an indication of what that would look like. So to add a little bit more interest and to help focus on this kind of smiley area, one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to create a gradient and throw that on top of my caricature. And I'm able to do that again by using this blue layer that I mentioned earlier, and just selecting that and then just filling that with a gradient. And so that's what I've done here. So you can really, I mean, you kind of still get the idea of what's going on with his position, but you focus in on his facial features and the uniform. On top of that, I've got both a screen layer and a multiply layer, and these are going to be texture layers that just help define, you know, some tone and things like that, add some highlights and shadows. So first of all, I'll just show you the screen layer, and that is just a couple of different colors that I will use very closely related to what's on there already, and then just the layer is a screen, so it'll show up lighter. And I'll just kind of play with that until it looks right. And I've got these obviously kind of highlights on the face and this rim lighting on the arm that I'm liking here. And I'll do the same thing, but I will do it on a multiply layer, and we'll throw that in there. And you can see as that's laid on top. Sometimes I'll do my multiply layer on top of the screen layer. Sometimes it goes the other way. It all depends on the subject and kind of what I'm doing. So this is pretty much the completed caricature. I'll eliminate the rough sketch layer. We don't need that anymore because this is looking nice. But we want to decide on a background. So one of the things that I wanted to do is let's make him look like he's appearing on a court. So surf the internet, grab this photo that seemed perfect for my pose, and it's the Grizzly court. And here he is flying in to dunk the basketball in this hoop right here. So, but I wanted to see if I could stylize that a little bit. I didn't want my picture to just show up on a photo background. I wanted to make it my own a little bit. So I decided to blur that. That's going to give the focus again once more to my caricature and keep it there, which I like. But I also want to make sure that I can still keep the focus on kind of the facial area here. So I'm going to throw in a couple of layers that add some shadowing. I explored this layer a little bit. It was a little too blurry, so decided not to use that one. But we'll throw in these layers to add just a little bit of shadowing, a little bit of texture, and it's in a place that I like. One of the things that I also want to do is I cut out the hoop so that that was also not lost in the background. It's kind of a foreground feature and wanted it to be nice and bright. So I've thrown that in there as well. So now we've got a pretty nice caricature. We've got kind of the scene going on, but this particular drawing, I thought it would be nice to have something to do with the character's name or the subject's name. So what we will do is I will throw that in there. We have got Ja. Just put in there 2 big giant letters, bold letters. That's all you need, just because he speaks for himself pretty much. But I wanted to add a little bit of texture to that and kind of dull it down a little bit so it doesn't scream too much from the background. So I do that by adding a metal texture. So now it looks like this Ja is carved out of some cool metal, which I'm really liking. And then beyond that, I wanted to put Morant somewhere. So we will throw that in there in the corner, added some effects to that so that you can see that it does look like it's kind of just carved out of this little, metal sheet, if you will. And let's just go scroll through, just kind of look at the detail. You can see that this kind of gradient layer, I stylized that with some halftone effects. And I like how they match with the texture that I added in. And again, it's just allowing this area to be nice and bright and the focal point. It does cover up and kind of add noise to the arms where the tattoos are, but again, we just scribbled that in anyway. There wasn't like specific information that needed to be understood there. So one of the last things that I did was, where is this detail at? We've got some dreadlocks that we wanted to put in there, and I'm liking how that is. And that will do it for us. That's our caricature illustration breakdown of Ja Morant for the Memphis Grizzlies. He's having a great season. His highlight reel is one of my favorites that's come out of the NBA for a couple of years, actually. So hope you enjoyed this breakdown, and we'll catch you on the next one. Bye.
Break it down.